Hello and welcome to Lassoing Leadership. I am your co-host Garth Nichols.
And I am your other co-host, Jason Rogers.
This is season 2 of the podcast. We're diving into the individual episodes of the hit TV series Ted Lasso to learn more about how to lead in a better, kinder, and more compelling way. And we've created this podcast out of our own love of learning, leadership, and of course, we are big fans of the show. So we're looking forward to season 2. Like we're halfway through it pretty much. Where the show takes on new challenges of leadership, introduces new characters, and adds depth to existing ones. And it's going to be a great season for all of us.
Come on, Garth. It's already been a great season. I'm loving
Yep.
every minute of it. And, one of our big learnings for us personally from season one was we have our own blind spots. So you can look forward to more guests as this season continues to evolve, as we expand our perspectives on leadership. We aim for not more than 20 minutes per episode, where we talk about our favorite characters, episode, little leadership nuggets of gold. We also take a stab at renaming each episode just for fun. And then we leave you with a leadership challenge to contemplate. And hopefully you take it on. And I think, Garth, some of our listeners really have taken it to heart.
Yeah. And we've had a streak of amazing guests on the show.
Yeah, we sure have. It's been so good.
We've had authors, we've had a sports psychiatrist. But I have to say, Jason, I'm excited that today it's just you and me.
Yeah.
And each episode we love to hear what our listeners are saying. So what have you heard so far?
I can't turn around without bumping into somebody either virtually or in person who's been listening to this podcast. And it seems to be working with people in different fields in different ways. Now, in fact, we've reached over 30 individual countries just on Spotify. It's tough to see on Apple how many countries we're into, but think of it, 30 countries are listening to this. And that's super exciting. And I just like the accessibility of this medium. We're also going to drop a Case Leadership Institute module on faculty culture. Actually, we did last week, and talk about Lasso and Dan Coyle's book. And we hope people enjoy that as well, because it's being put into that module. And we hope you share it widely. Now, Garth, you've been on kind of all over North America the last little bit. What have you been hearing in your circles?
First of all, like the leadership module that you run is amazing.
Thank you.
The culture code piece is awesome because we've talked so much about culture on this podcast too.
Yeah.
As you say, recently I was just in Dublin, California. Not sure if you know Dublin, California, but I was there for
never been
just outside of Oakland. I was there for the Independent Schools Experiential Education Network Conference, or Winter Institute, as we like to say. So I sit on the board of that organization, not for profit. It is amazing. It brings together an amazing group of people, so we spend 5 days out there. We go on some experiential education, like moments of learning, days of learning. We bring in guest speakers. We had an amazing speaker named Honey Mahogany, a trans woman who is doing some amazing things in California, specifically in San Francisco, around democracy and community activism. So a really special time. And so when I was there, we had a couple of schools, a couple of people from schools come up to me. And one school in particular, Hillfield Strathallan College, shout out to their head of school, Mark, has added their podcast, their list of PD resources, which I think is such a compliment. And so maybe we should get some of them on the podcast. I don't know, Mark, if you're listening, or Carrie, if you're listening, if you want to jump on, we'd love to have you.
Let's go get them. Quick question for you, Garth. Were there any Irish pubs in Dublin?
There were quite a few, but the most surprising thing was, I think it was like day 3. I was there for 6 days because we had a bit of a board retreat. And on like day 3, my wife called me and was like, I'm watching a show. I think it's called like My Nightmare. And it takes place in Dublin, California. It's like, awesome. But yeah, great bowling alley apparently across the street. A couple of our participants went to that. So yeah.
Very cool.
Hey, listen,
Very
if you are an experiential educator, you got to check out iScene. Yeah.
Well, I think we tag them, and I think we also get a plug for the Dublin Tourist Agency. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a sponsor on our next episode. That might be the next step. But without any further ado, let's jump into the episode, Garth. Why don't you take it away and give us a bit of a summary on Beard After Hours? What did you see here?
Yeah, I'll try to. This is a really interesting episode. It takes us away from the status quo of what we're used to with Ted Lasso, what we know of Ted Lasso as a show. So following a match loss, Coach Beard experiences a tumultuous evening, including being saved from a beating, a physical beating, and experiencing relationship issues with Jane. like, I don't know how else to describe what happens in this episode. So I did a little bit of research, and NPR has a great article on this episode that we'll link to in the show notes. But what's significant for our discussion today is they write, when the Christmas episode aired, we learned that the writers of season 2 originally wrote the season 2 with only 10 episodes. But then Apple expanded it to 12, and that put them in the position of adding 2 additional episodes that wouldn't interfere with the sort of the flow of the season so far. And so they've been assembling. So this is the second of those 2 sort of added episodes, and I expect that it too will be polarizing. They continue. They write, like the Christmas episode, it doesn't advance any of the major plots that were bubbling at the end of Man City. Roy and Jamie, Ted and Sharon, Rebecca and Sam. And yes, that interrupts the narrative momentum that's been building. But on the flip side, they write, it's a chance to play around with tone. They say, if Christmas was sweeter than most Ted episodes, Beard After Hours is more experimental, even magical, even dreamlike. Uneasy is another word I would add. And they see the characters step out of their usual narrative functions. That would probably never have happened in absence of the scheduling quirk from Apple.
Yeah, I think that's like a beautiful constraint, isn't it? And I think that's, when we think about beautiful constraints and innovation and creativity, I think the writers of this have just capitalized on it. And, you said, the writer said it was dreamlike. This did feel like a dream. And I think before we came on that air, we were talking about it feeling like a music video. And what a great, I love this episode. And I hope our listeners loved it as well. And I hope people go back to it. What else do you learn, Garth? It feels like you've really drilled down on this one. Tell our listeners the inside scoop.
Yeah, like a little bit more research. It goes into the symbolism of each spot and each interaction. I'm quoting directly from the article, the NPR article here. It says, this episode gives the great and good Brendan Hunt, the actor, one of the story's show's creators and writers, a welcome showcase, obviously, but it underlines the fact that the people who make up the show's world, including the players and the fans, May and the referees, they exist outside of Ted's story and outside of his view. And so the Christmas episode did that too. It stressed that Ted is not the source of everything for his team, not even the warmth or all the positivity. So I highly recommend that article just to give you a different perspective on it and to consider, even as a leader, what are the narratives you are writing for your teams? How are they existing in this school? How are they taking on their own agency under your leadership? So I would highly recommend it. But that's enough for me, Jason. Let's move on. Because Roy doesn't really figure in this episode, so I'm really interested in your response. Who is your favorite character?
It's a tough one to answer, Garth, because I can't get away from Roy Kent, even though he's not in this episode. He is here, he's there, he's every effing where, and it's true, except for in this episode. He shows up for literally zero time. And I have to be honest, picking another person would feel a little bit like infidelity, and I just can't do that to Roy Kent. For this episode, I'm going to choose Beard's Key.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Tell me more.
Okay, so I'm not sure if everybody remembers, but in this episode, it is tied together through Beard losing and then finding again the key to his flat. I actually did a little bit of research on this as well to figure out what it might mean, because I'm not nearly clever enough to figure it out myself. So here it goes. Here's what it means. Much like everything else in the series, it turns out the key is a metaphor, and it is probably intentional. Although there are several theories, let me share my favorite one of those. Some people believe it's a reference to a 14th century poet named Hafiz. In his poem, he says, the small man builds cages for everyone he knows, while the sage, and I think this is Beard, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, and the moon plays prominently in this show, keeps dropping keys all night, long for the beautiful, rowdy prisoners. Now, I really like they're identifying Beard as a sage here, and he kind of is throughout the series. He's contemplative, wise, and seems to be able to see things that are coming all the way throughout the series. Furthermore, as the episode progresses, we see his luck turn for the worse every time he loses that key, and his luck improves each time he finds it. I didn't read this anywhere, but I do think the key might represent both safety and agency. Okay. I think these are wildly important leadership principles. The key, meaning safety, means you can support yourself and others in feeling safe. Ultimately, keys do open safes. Secondly, In having a key, you have the agency to make decisions and be as free as you choose. When you don't have a key, both safety and agency disappear, and you may falter in life and in your leadership. Okay, probably a little bit more than you bargained for, and I didn't cheat on Roy Kent, but I am very curious. You must have chosen Beard.
I'm going to back up because I love that sort of metaphor of the sage who has to duck his head with the moon, dropping keys to free small people.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard that. That's brilliant, Jason. Like I'm
Well,
gonna sit with that for a while. So thanks for bringing that. And like you, I'm going to go a little off script here and say that my favorite character is actually the music.
yes, it is, Garth. I love the music.
It plays such a critical role in this and setting the mood and tone. And everything from like Jeff Tweedy's acoustic version of the theme song to the club banger, I Don't Care, to the sweet jazz,
So
to the house, to the club, like
So good.
it all just paints this sort of dreamlike and just adds so much depth to it. So the music is awesome. It defines the space. It sends messages. So I'll put a link in the show notes to all the tunes that are in that episode. It's really good stuff. And I think I think I chose this, and I'm going to get into sort of my leadership lesson here. But like music makes moments richer and deeper, and so
It does.
So what I tried to do was I plugged this into ChatGPT. I plugged some ideas in, and then I said, spit out the answer in the voice of Ted Lasso. So here you go.
Yeah, let's have it.
I think music is key because you see, when we let the arts into our hearts, it's like opening the door to a whole new world. It's more than just paint on a canvas or notes in a song. It's like magic. It wakes up something inside of us, makes us feel things, deep things like joy, maybe a tear or two, and a whole lot of thankfulness. And I think in this episode, the music does that. It helps to create these moments and make them richer and deeper. So music is my favorite character.
That's cool. I know I listen to a lot of music in my office, and I do try to use it to set tones on occasion. However, I do think in our leadership, we have to be respectful of whether people like listening to music during meetings or not, and what kind of music they like or don't like. But I think it certainly can add flavor to the day, and I certainly appreciate it. And you certainly did cover a leadership lesson or two there, Garth.
I think
really like that.
I think I have a little leadership challenge brewing, but what about you, Jason? What was your leadership lesson?
Yeah, so what I saw was a reminder that to be fully satisfied in life and leadership, you have to have deep and impactful relationships. Beard stumbles through the night, and time again, his relationships save him. Whether it's with the mysterious woman at the bar, or even her disenfranchised partner, who ends up saving him from the brawl, and whether it's the Richmond hooligans, or in the end, his girlfriend Jane, all the way through the evening, his relationships save him. I think in our leadership, we need to lean in on those relationships. We need to give them time and space and the importance they require, and then we need to give back to them. Truly, we see this when Beard gives back to the hooligans, when he gives them the password to the underground tunnel that leads to Nelson Road or the soccer pitch where Richmond plays. And you see them having such joy and delight on that field, you can't help but feel like he's given them the greatest gift at all. And I guarantee you that capital he put in is going to pay dividends in the end. I mean, that is a legendary story in its own right. So in giving back to the fans, he's further strengthened all of his connections. So it's a little give and take in the relationship world. And I think we can learn that from Beard in this episode.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things in there in terms of relationships about empathy. And I love how you described him as the disenfranchised boyfriend. But that for me was a really poignant scene where that big, rough and tumble guy, he's really empathetic and really self-reflective. And I love that they brought that out. So, hey, listen, given all this, what would you rename the episode?
Okay, here it is. I'd rename it Relationships Are Key.
Oh, perfect. That's so good. I'm going to delete mine right now. I'm scratching it out.
Oh, no, I know you can do it, but I do like mine, just so you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, mine's lame.
What's yours? Yeah, let's have it. No, it's okay.
I would rename mine just playlist. Harmony Playlist. So this title captures kind of the essence of both like the uplifting and unifying nature of music and the strategic and playful elements that are characters of both the show and any sport setting too, right? But no, relationships are key.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
You
What
win.
about-
You win.
Okay.
Go for a leadership challenge.
Okay. So this comes back to some of what we're talking about, giving and taking. I want you to think about someone in your circle who has given to you and your leadership, and just simply find a way to give back. It could be a gift. I think that's natural. But it doesn't have to be. It could be simply some personal time. It could be a kind text, or if they're the type of friend that you hug, give them a hug and tell them how much they mean to you. I bet both of you and your support or your friend, will be better off for it. I think it's a pretty straightforward leadership challenge that's certainly achievable. What about you, Garth?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I already did that challenge. I did it just today.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and I sent a letter to, as I said, I sit on the board, and I sent a letter to one of our board members because they play such an integral role in, pushing and supporting me in my sort of EDIB journey. And yeah, Danielle is an amazing sort of accountability coach for me, but also dear friend who's inviting me into this work with her. So I love it. But for me, I think mine is to connect with your colleagues through music. Like try that, play a song at the beginning of a meeting, maybe even like just come together with your team and say, let's get a playlist going. Or better yet, Jason, you know what I'm going to say, right? Like better yet, here's another thing you can do with your team.
Let's
around
do karaoke.
music.
Let's do karaoke.
So where are we with the karaoke songs?
I'm still putting this together, but I have to say the Gambler is rising to the top. It seems to me everybody I talk to thinks it fits, but still open, and we'll get that bracket together one of these days together. But nevertheless, Garth, I have to say leadership challenge accepted on both fronts. One, let's find a way to give back, and two, let's connect around music because it brings greater life to everything we do.
Yeah, love it. Amazing. So listen, we would love to hear what you've learned from this episode. So a reminder that if you like what you've heard here, rate the podcast, share it with your friends. Also, we have these ongoing leadership challenges, and Jason and I did a top 10 to finish the sort of calendar year. So and welcome you into the happy new year of 2024. So if you have any updates for us on leadership challenges, we would love to hear from you. So if we're ever going to get Sudeikis on here, we're going to need your support. So keep liking, keep responding, keep engaged with us. And Jason, take us home.
Yeah. Until next time, everybody, keep leading the Lasso way. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, y'all.